oftentimes in this business when things happen that I find questioning myself, what are we doing? Like today, there's a clip from a local media guy around here basically going out there saying and trying to compare Les Miles and Kalen DeBoer. And I'm just telling you, man, you're building things up. You're building up material. You're building up things for when they come in here to want to kick your ass. If they didn't want to do so already. And, man, you better stop doing it. I'm just telling you. You better stop doing it. You ain't – I'm not going to say you're not ready because I think you can get yourself ready if you do some certain things. But in case you missed it, there's a viral clip going around of somebody in our media corps comparing Kalen DeBoer because he took over from Nick Saban at Alabama and Les Miles took over for Nick Saban at LSU. But here's the thing why they're not different and why the win against Georgia is a big deal. Ryan Williams decommitted from Alabama when Nick Saban retired, and Kalen DeBoer was the one who went and got the kid to come back into that class and come to Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, unlike Les when he took over LSU, had 30 players that transferred that were on the Alabama roster. Now, you as an LSU fan should know somewhat of what that's like. You had about the same. You had 32 when Brian Kelly came in, but he had replaced almost an entire secondary. Oh, wait, that's right. He replaced an entire secondary. Kalen DeBoer was in a natty last year. And for anybody who thinks that man can't coach, who's like 105-8 or 104-18, whatever his record is, I think it's 104-8, you have lost your godforsaken mind. You've lost your godforsaken mind. Les Miles, when he came to LSU, never had 10 wins before he was the head coach here. All the times that he was at Oklahoma State, the most wins that he ever got was 9. The last year or the year before that he came to LSU, he was 7-5. And we're out here having issues our own selves, meaning LSU, meaning you need to recruit a little bit better in the trenches. You need to recruit a little bit better in certain specific areas, like safety, maybe like wide receiver. And we're coming out here saying, making fun of Alabama's recruiting class, saying that Ryan Williams saved somebody when they put up 28 points and Jalen Milroe might be one of, if not the best players in the country. Yes, I said it, in the country. And we're out here saying that they're not a good football team, that they're in their Les Miles era. What are we doing? Because let me tell you what's going to happen if you're not careful. That team who wants revenge is going to come in here and kick your ass if you're not ready. If you don't have toughness, which is something that we're going to talk about here tonight, on things that LSU's got to try to find and build and work on. Because I'm just going to tell you, Kalen DeBoer's offenses are successful wherever he goes. Guys, he outcoached Kirby Smart in the first half. You don't go up 28-0 and you didn't scheme somebody up and outcoach somebody. Doesn't happen. Just simply doesn't happen. Wanting Alabama to be bad is what every LSU fan at the current moment aspires to happen, right? Meaning we all, as an LSU fan, would want a team that's been a rival of ours to not have success. Guys, as an LSU fan myself, I wouldn't want them to have success. But not wanting them to have success and wanting them to be bad does nothing for the reality of who they currently are. They have a better recruiting class than you. They're winning bigger games than you. And quite honestly, you are in a situation where when they, meaning Alabama, are against an inferior opponent like South Florida, this specific team scored 28 unanswered points and then went into a bye week. And then not only did they score 28 against South Florida in the fourth quarter, they turned around in the first quarter and scored another 28. Guys, 56 unanswered points that their defense didn't give up anything. 56. And we're out here acting like we can go around here and brag. This place is so naive to the realities of what they are and who we are that we need to just put our head downs and go to work. Because if you got to, what do I know? Some other things that we're going to get into tonight. It is a bye week. What are some things, 5 things that LSU needs to try to work on? We'll talk about that here tonight. Brian Kelly meets with the media. Boy, he came out not wanting to talk about injuries, but it seems as if there are some, which we got to talk about and start asking the question, is this strength and conditioning staff and this medical staff, are they living up to what what LSU needs them to be? Because your injuries, not only last year but going into this one, are starting to mount up a little bit too much. So we'll talk about that a little bit too here. So we'll go through Brian Kelly as well and everything that he discussed. We'll talk about the things that LSU, at least what I believe that LSU needs to do during this bye week, and we'll go from there. Spectrum Wellcare says Moscona doesn't speak for the coach or team. No, he doesn't speak for the coach or team, but it doesn't matter. That post, okay, got over, at the current moment, 250,000 views. It did what it was intended to do, but I know for a fact that LSU under Brian Kelly has used other radio people from other schools to put up bulletin board material. Some of the captions that they used have been petty shots to other fan bases, like A&M last year. So miss me with you gonna get egg on your face. Y'all go right on ahead. You're gonna have egg on your face. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, what do we have here? Look at there. Look at there. Yes, we're publishing a lot of content on the AYS Sports SEC YouTube channel. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Stop what you're doing right now. Go over to AYS. Let me back up. Everybody do me a favor at the end of the show, or do me a favor right now. Go to AYS Sports /SEC on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Because I'm going to do something. We're going to do a little giveaway. One of our sponsors is doing it for us, but we're probably going to give away 300. Maybe. You're going to have to be paying attention. We'll let you know all the details. Go over there. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. We greatly appreciate y'all doing that. David Woodard says the 318-31 great. Yes, indeed, David. Yes, indeed. The great 318-31 great. Where is everybody listening to from tonight? Kedrick Washington says, go Tigers. Good to have you both of you gentlemen in here. We greatly appreciate that. Paul Frank says 337 Ville Platte. Good to have you in here as well. I tell y'all this every time Paul puts in Ville Platte, man. Them women out in Ville Platte, it's crazy. Crazy. Charlie Viator's in the 337. Good to have you in here, good sir. GOAT with 3 X's. Not talking about Playboy here, I don't expect. He says he's in the 806. Go Tigers. Shannon Alford is in the 225. Abdul is in the 504. Jefferson Parish, good to have you with us. Stephen Carter is in the 615. Oh, that's the Nashville area, is it not? Tennessee. I'll be on with Bill King tomorrow morning, WNSR Radio at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all need to go listen. We need to get Bill King on the airways. He doesn't do video. I got to get him. I'm going to try to convince him to get him on the air. Kedrick Washington says, Blake, do you feel like the run game is getting better? Yes, I do. And he says, and would you draft Buss over Beck? I think it's definitely a conversation after what both of them have done this season. Yes. Now, I think both of them have a trait that I don't like at all. Guys, I don't like turnovers. Now, you're going to have them, right? Like, you're going to have turnovers. It's just my biggest thing is guys, this is just how I am. You don't have to agree with me. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I think turnovers are so critical. Guys, you have 2 turnovers in your LSU, and you scored 7 points last week. You have turnovers when you should have put away a South Carolina team. You had a turnover on downs. You had 2 interceptions, one that got called back. Those kinds of things can't happen. Now, I do think Carson Beck has put more on film, and we'll have to see. I don't think that Carson Beck, however, has the weaponry around him at the current moment or the play calling around him at the current moment, ironically, to where it's beneficial to him. But if you would ask me, if you said you had to pick one right now, I'd probably go Nuss. But that would be me. 504 is where Jared Addison is originally from, I'm assuming, but he says he's in Mobile, Alabama. Good at the 251, maybe, I think is that area code. Good to have you in here. LSU fan 124 says 662 Mississippi. Good to also have you in here as well. Kevin Dunn says, I feel like Aaron Anderson is going to have a big game against Ole Miss. I can see his confidence growing. That's my point. I don't think Carson Beck has an Aaron Anderson at minimum. Now, I think Dominic Lovett is good, and I think they got to continue to give him football. But here's another truth, okay? I don't think Alabama showed anything through the first 4 weeks at all, and I think that they got confused. And here's the truth. The second half that Carson Beck did have was pretty exceptional outside the turnovers. But I just like what I say about Nuss, guys, his play, you're asking me that. See, the reason it's ironic because we look at Carson Beck and Garrett Nussmeier, and you're asking me about the comparison of them because you're saying, oh, well, that guy had turnovers. Well, so did your guy. So do you understand where I'm coming at from that? So, yeah. 985 via the 512 says Dr. John Sibley Butler. Good to have you in here with us. The doc is in the building. Todd Boudreaux says the 337 stand up. Yeah, 337 making a comeback here tonight. Kendrick Washington says, I think Beck was overrated, is 5 or 6. You know, Carter asked me a question last night, and I'm not going to continue to go down this debate. I don't think a great argument or a logical argument is being able to come out here and say, well, Garrett's playing better than this guy. It doesn't change the reality of what our team needs and what he's doing on the field. It doesn't change the turnovers, man. It really doesn't. It really, really doesn't. All right. I got to talk to you about our good friends. Let me get the product placement over. Right here. We got it right here. Guys, listen. I have lost officially right at 70 pounds. The things that I've used to do that when working out in recovery, one thing has been our good friends over at Cherry Bundy. The natural product and ingredients, they have no added sugar. The tart cherries are the highest antioxidant fruit or vegetable in the world. Let me tell you what it's done for me. It's reduced soreness, increased recovery, improved sleep. It's helped support my immunity. And I should have known this because 500 collegiate teams and professional teams use Cherry Bundy. 10 of the 11 last Super Bowl champions use it. 66 of the 67 Power 5 conferences also use Cherry Bundy. Go over to the website, cherrybundy.com, or Amazon or Publix or Kroger, wherever you shop, and get you some of this product today for that optimal recovery. That's cherrybundy.com, where recovery happens. Let me get you a quick break. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share to all those groups on Facebook and to all your social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. We're back next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events. with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. All right. By the way, Lane Kiffin, who just lost a football game, is already trolling LSU. Lane Kiffin came out today and said, and he was asked about South Carolina because they're playing South Carolina this weekend, but I just want to read this very quickly. Lane Kiffin said that South Carolina really easily is one penalty away from being undefeated and probably ranked really high, Kiffin said. These guys are much improved from last year, especially on defense. Now, that's true. So this is going to be a really tough challenge. Lane loves to deflect other things because of the challenge that he has in front of him. You know, like, Lane, I don't mean this in a wrong way, but you can deflect, oh, they're one penalty away from being undefeated. They also had multiple turnovers in a game. Why are we 3 weeks away from South Carolina and Lane Kiffin, of course he is, coming out here trolling again? What are you trying to accomplish? It's not LSU that went out there last week against Kentucky and because our team wasn't tough, got our asses beat. It was you. And schematically, offensively, you and I both know that you called a horrible game. We're one penalty away from being undefeated. Well, what about the 2 fumbles that they had on strip sacks and the really bad interception that they threw in the red zone? Kind of like some of the bad play calling that led to one of your guys, a dude from Louisiana, I might add, that fumbled the football because you kept throwing him the ball and the dude was exhausted and you kept throwing him out there, and Trey Harris. Oh, I'm going to bookmark this thing. Lane better be careful. Guess we'll see him in Florida in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Yes, indeed. Jared Addison with a super sticker. Thank you so much. $5 super sticker. Thank you, Jared. Every time y'all do that, we continue to expand. That's what the AYS Sports SEC channel is for. We did 3 massive interviews today. Y'all got to go over there and check it out for all of you college football and baseball fans. Let's get to this. Brian Kelly normally meets with the media on Mondays. It's a bye week, so he met with us today on a Tuesday. Right out of the gate, Brian Kelly was asked about Caden Durham, the running back, and about his injuries. Let me first off start by saying this. This team is beat up. This team 100% is beat up, and I think it's become an issue. Look, Harold Perkins, you can't replace what that guy does. Sorry. You simply cannot. There are injuries in certain positions that are starting to mount, man. You got a lot of injuries at wide receiver. You know, things are hit and miss, I think, at times with Chris Hilton. He dresses out one game. You don't play him. I think he had a little bit of a setback, and then, you know, now he's not dressed out this past weekend. Is his availability not just this week or last week, and going into Ole Miss What is his status for the season? Maybe we don't know that. Now, it was confirmed today. Now, this is why I tell you all the time that you need to be on the forum, ayssnetwork.com/forum. At around 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, I went on our forum and told you about the CJ Daniels news. I don't need to go out there and break the story or break a story. It was on our forum. CJ Daniels is likely out at minimum the next 2 weeks. Now, could he have an amazing recovery from some of the things and the knee issues that he's having? I heard it might have been a meniscus. The clarification on the knee injury, I don't know. It's not season ending from what I understand. But can he give it a go against Ole Miss? I don't know. Kyle Parker has been beat up. And now you have your arguably one of your most explosive weapons, and Caden Durham, who, Brian Kelly talked about Miles Frazier falling on him, and he says he'll be okay. But offensively, the injuries are starting to pile up a little bit, and this bye week comes at a really good time. Brian Kelly says you're not getting much from me this week on injuries, but then followed and proceeded to talk about CJ Daniels. Well, he can't. I don't think that he could back away when Wilson Alexander asked him about CJ Daniels, because I don't think he thought people knew. Brian Kelly's going to have to understand that this is a small town, even though there's a big university in it. People know things. I would expect Caden Durham to be ready to go against Ole Miss unless he has a massive setback. But it doesn't stop the fact that this team really needs to get healthy. So everybody in that training staff, everybody in that strength and conditioning staff, you're about to make your money. Now, there is chatter right now that I feel that's going around that building that maybe people don't think, or people have stated that potentially that there might need to be a little bit of a shakeup. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But look, man, it's starting to mount, and it's definitely people are asking questions. Wide receiver, you're pretty banged up, but you're pretty deep there. You need to get Xavier Thomas the football more. And when you have injuries, what's up with Kyle Parker? What's up with Chris Hilton? I do not know that. I don't know that status. What I do know of the status is that you have a really good player in Xavier Thomas. It's about time to stop using him as a gadget player and let him get some balls out in space and see what he can do along with Aaron Anderson. Brian Kelly also said that they went to full pads the last 2 days. He said, and I quote, "We can't afford to tap on the brakes on the progression and acceleration that we have in development." I'm going to come back to that because in just a moment, we're going to talk about the 5 things that LSU needs to do during this bye week. Number 1 is toughness. And I think that when I was putting my list together and notes together about what I want to see this team do, I don't know if you can build some toughness in the middle of the season. I think the reason that Brian Kelly is going full pads in a bye week has been, number 1, keeping guys up in condition. But number 2, I think he's trying to get them a little bit tougher. There have been situations where I think you've mentally broken this season in specific plays and specific drives in specific areas that you just can't afford to have. So Brian Kelly did say that they went full pads today, and then they'll have Friday, Saturday, and then they'll start coming back on Sunday. So, look, you get a full weekend like I'm going to get for the first time, which, by the way, I'm taking family pictures on Sunday or on Saturday. So everybody needs a good bye week. I wish they did 2 bye weeks every year for college football. Maybe they'll do that now with the playoff. Brian Kelly was asked about special teams, and this is interesting, man. Look, when we talk about recruiting, we never talk about recruiting when it comes to specialists. Brian Kelly stated, now I haven't looked this up, but 24 of the 25 kickoffs by Aaron Burrell have been touchbacks. The only one I would assume that he would say is of the one that was not a touchback was maybe the penalty that Kyron Lacey had after he scored a touchdown and pointed a gun at Greedy Vance, and he had to make a tackle. Look, I think there's something to be said here, man, about special teams because, look, Aaron Burrell, Damian Ramos, I think Blake Oschendorf, for what it's been, we don't talk about special teams at all because they're not really – I mean, it's just not been a factor necessarily on how bad they've been. Guys, the last 2 weeks, Blake Oschendorf has landed a punt inside the 10. Now, if it's me, I'm letting that kid run out there and play and punt every single time. Why Blake Oschendorf isn't punting is beyond me. But Brian Kelly had a massive issue on special teams when he got here. The truth is that they've kind of corrected it. Nathan Dybert, I have no idea what's going on with him, but Aaron Burrell has a strong leg. So does Damian Ramos. You feel like you've figured out some things with Xavion Thomas because he's an explosive player at returning punts and kicks. I think it's only a matter of time maybe that he busts one and takes one to the house. I do want to give them credit. They've had an issue. They went and fixed that issue, and they look pretty good in what they're doing on special teams. Brian Kelly was asked about a lot of the freshmen that are playing on the defensive side of the football, and he talked about Ahmad Bro. And I think it's interesting because they asked him, well, what has made Ahmad Bro take that leap? And he said, number one, spring football. These guys are early enrollees. Guys, you know this. Most of you went to college. I would assume that a lot of you have gone to college. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But for the ones of you that did, I don't know how your experience was. Like, my experience was not a good one the first 6 months. The first semester that I had in college really sucked. I wasn't doing good in class. I wasn't doing good from a social standpoint. I had injuries. I was very depressed. And I feel like a lot of people can go through that as freshmen. But the great thing about being an early enrollee is all of those guys get to work all that shit out during spring. Right? And it's interesting because there is no higher praise that Brian Kelly can give than what he gave to Ahmad Bro. Brian Kelly stated that Ahmad Bro has been really good because he does every single thing that we asked him to do. He's assignment sound, and when we ask him to do something, he does it the right way the first time that we ask him. For a guy like Brian Kelly, there is no better thing that he can personally say about you as a player other than what he said about Ahmad Bro today. Nothing. I thought Ahmad Bro has been really good. Now, have there been times as a freshman in situations where he's gotten double teamed, in situations where he kind of was a little late getting off the snap, late in games? Yeah, he's a freshman. Guys, the truth is that Ahmad Bro, who quite honestly, I probably didn't have being a starter, guys, is a starter for you. And that kid is going to, I say kid, my apologies. That young man is going to continue to develop. When you have that kind of work ethic, when you do everything the right way with that athleticism, a star is born. Or it can be born. So I thought that the biggest thing that Brian Kelly stated today in his press conference, outside of injuries, was the biggest compliment that he as a head coach can give is what he gave to Ahmad Bro. Couple more things here. The media was really hammering Brian Kelly about Caden Durham. And I understand the infatuation. But the question was asked to him, well, was there a reason why that you threw Brian Kelly out there? You threw Caden Durham out there on the first play? Well, yeah, it's a swing pass. I mean, you're not going to open a game throwing a swing pass to Josh Williams. You're probably not going to do that with Caleb Jackson, even though I do think here's odd take. I'd run that same play with Caleb Jackson and let him get a full steam up on him, giving him a little bit of space. If he can't find space, here's the thing that I want to see with Caleb Jackson. If Caleb Jackson can't find space in between the tackles, get him outside the tackles. Guys, y'all saw the stuff that he was doing in practice. You can't ignore that. You saw what he did in the spring game. That's not on me. You saw it with your own eyes, just like I did. Got to find a way to get him rolling, man. If you can, then you can start getting to where you want to be. Got to find a way in this bye week to get him. Got to find a way to get him rolling. I don't know if he's dealing with something, but goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Brian Kelly was asked about his team getting confused about eye candy, meaning motions defensively. Brian Kelly responded by saying that you gotta simplify things and focus in on the football. And it's going to, look, man, we're going to talk about that and things I want this team to fix and work on during the bye week. This safety room's not going to figure it out. You got to play young guys. I'm just tired. I'm tired of pussyfooting around the conversation that we need to have. There's nobody that has shown more than Jordan Gilbert and Deshaun Spears on film. I got a lot of pushback for me on that. Well, a lot of you come in here and you retweet PFF. Well, PFF, the highest rated safety last 3 weeks, that LSU has had Jordan Gilbert, and you're not playing him. So you can't go out there and tweet your ass off about what PFF does, and the highest graded safety out there is Jordan Gilbert. Now, PFF is partnering with our good friends over at Believe, and they will tell you that he's your best safety right now. You know how I know? I asked him. So a third-party individual that has no biases whatsoever to LSU, that's what he said. Last thing here. I felt like that at the end of the press conference today, that the question was asked to Brian Kelly from a TV guy about his intensity and him coming into press conferences and joking around, and that he the intensity in press conferences, I really don't understand the question, if I'm being honest. Michael Cobble asked the question. I love Cobble. I have no issues with Cobble. I don't understand the question of what he was trying to ask. Really, I don't. But he asked, like, hey, you kind of been coming in here and joking around. And then Brian Kelly said, yeah, I got to peel back on doing that sometimes. But, I mean, what about – you want to talk about the intensity I had when Nussmeier threw his second pick? Guys, I mean, listen. After we've had Ed Orgeron and after we've had Les Miles, are we really coming in here talking about what a guy acts and sounds like at a press conference? Do you think that – guys – against UCLA, against USC, against South Carolina, there have been multiple times that he's gotten purple-faced. We've been out there at practice where he's been all over this team about missed assignments. Guys, let me just tell you this. This is something that we probably should have discussed a long time ago, but maybe I didn't translate it well. Guys, when there's mistakes at practice, I have visibly seen Brian Kelly with my own eyes go up to the player and correct the player on what he should do, and they don't get it corrected. They don't get it corrected. Now, some of the younger guys that Brian Kelly himself has brought in, some of those guys have made changes. Like I think of Jaden. I think of Nuss. I think of Caden Durham. I think of the Will Campbell, Emory Jones on things that they have missed that they've gotten better at. It's been the guys that Brian Kelly has inherited that, quite honestly, has not taken to what he's doing. Guys, let's call it what it is. And do you really think that Brian Kelly is not teaching at practice if the safety blows a coverage? Let me tell you what happens when a coverage is broken at practice, at least when I visibly saw, and we were out there for pretty much every one of them. Brian Kelly goes up to the player and tells him what he needs to do better, and they don't listen. Either they don't listen or they're unable to comprehend. And I don't understand this infatuation with, LSU has lost one game this year. Probably should be undefeated. And I think that you have enough to where if you do what you need to do, and things that you can control, like I said last night, I think that you have the potential to do something. Do I think that you're going to lose 2 more games? Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. But it's not for lack of intensity that Brian Kelly has. He's been labeled a lot of things, and listen, When I hear people in these press conferences asking these types of questions, my God's honest thought, as soon as the question, some of the, not Cobbles, I'm just saying in general, of like what, when I hear people ask some questions, I honestly feel like, I'm like, okay, well, you talk to nobody on staff. Because what they would tell you, not on a regular basis, you don't, not on a weekly or daily basis. I mean, they would tell you, guys, what do you think he does all day? Do you think he just goes and plays golf all day? That shit's just not true, and y'all know that. Not in the middle of the season, he does not. Y'all know that shit. Come on, man. Come on. All right. I think we got a couple of super chats in here. Then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get to things I want LSU to work on this week. That I hope that they're working on this week. Tiger Boy _luck on YouTube with a $2 super chat. Looks like he's got a Power Hour shirt on himself. Good to have you in here. He says, I feel like Caleb would be better from under center. Probably. My God's honest opinion is that he's not finding the hole. That's what she said. He's not finding the correct hole. He's not, for whatever reason, the vision for him hasn't been there. You got to get him in space. The kid with the ball in his hands can make plays. We're not doing that. We're just simply not doing that. Guys, I really do feel like he has the ability to be and do and be somebody special, but right now he's not living up to the potential that I think and know that he kind of has. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. Brandon Reese says, Blake, or hashtag ask Blake, I know it's taking a risk to start freshman at safety, but at this point, I'd rather take a chance compared to having the veterans guys still blow coverages. Well, Brandon, here's what I'm going to tell you. It's the first thing that we're talking about outside of the break. So let me do this. Let me take a quick break. 5 things I want LSU to do during the bye week. We got a lot of things that we got to discuss. We'll come back and talk about them next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Easy Free Bail Bonds, LLC, where they get your feet back on the street. There may come a time where a loved one or yourself is arrested and you don't have enough money to get bail from jail. Easy Free Bail Bonds will assist you in the process of getting bail bonds for your family. These bonds are a way to ensure that you're financially covered when a predicament like an arrest occurs. Easy Free Bail Bonds is located inside the state of Louisiana with an expert team of bondsmen that are available to assist you or your family 24/7. The team is professional and has a high-quality work ethic that will give you nothing but satisfaction. The company takes feedback from past customers in order to better their services and are always looking to accommodate and mold their services that best fit your needs. So remember this number, 985-517-3631. That's 985-517-3631. Because when you need to get back on your feet and back on the street, you know who to call.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. Never ceases to amaze me, man. This place never, ever, ever ceases to amaze me. Not in the slightest. All right, let's get rolling. There are 5 things that I hope that LSU does this week during the bye week. Maybe some of them are accomplishable. Maybe some of them are not accomplishable. But there are 5 things I got to see LSU or want to see LSU work on this week. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But number 1 is, guys, we have talked about this room a lot, and I'm not trying to continuously pile on them, but I'm just going to give you the facts as they stand at this exact moment in time with this team with LSU. Guys, safety play all around has been porous. We've talked about it ad nauseum, and I'm not going to go into great detail with you because you know what I'm already going to say. But it's not just safety play at times that's got to pick up a little bit. It's all around DB play. Guys, you're 96th in the country in passing yards allowed. Now, your question is, well, Blake, how do you fix it? Well, there are things that you're doing in the secondary that quite honestly just isn't working. The things that you have done, now there are some things that are working, but most of the things that you're doing, most of the havoc that you're creating, and most of the good plays that you're making are not coming from your secondary. They're coming from your front 7. Guys, think about it for just a moment. Now, there have been plays like Major Burns has had a PBU and Ashton Stamps broke up a pass in the end zone versus USC. But when you think of this secondary as a whole, name the plays or name the times that you've been like, oh, man, that was a great impact play. Well, there have been a couple. You know, I think of Deshaun Spears. I think of Jordan Gilbert. I think of Ashton Stamps. But you were 115th in the country last year in passing yards allowed. You're 96th right now. And let me tell you this. You play 2 teams that can't throw the football to really save their life. And if we're going to be honest, you play 3 that aren't good at it. South Alabama is a running team. They don't throw the ball around like that. You can say that they do, but you and I both know that they don't because they want to run the football with their quarterback that's a mobile guy and their freshman tailback. Nichols lined up with a guy named Guggenheimer who should have had probably was a war hero in World War II and is immortal now because of some magic potion. All Guggenheim did was literally get the ball from a Wildcat and run it all over you. They didn't throw the football. They didn't throw the football. And then I think of UCLA, who quite honestly is hot garbage at what they're doing at throwing the football too. And you still found a way to be in a position where you're 96th in the country in passing yards allowed. Why is that? Because you're not living up to the potential that guys in that room have. The God's honest truth is, from statistical analysis, the worst thing that you do statistically is give up yards through the air. Now, Miller Moss in that wide receiver room is really good. They're really good. Is Lenore Sellers the second best passer that you faced? Is he? Now, I'm not saying Lenore Sellers isn't a good quarterback or won't be a good quarterback or anything like that. But the God's honest truth is, you have teams that their identity is running the football that you've played, that you've still given up big plays through the air, and that cannot continue to happen. So how do you fix it? You got to give different looks. You got to bait some teams. You know, like I think of Nussmeier's interception. Stay with me. Don't get pissed off. I think of Nussmeier's interception where they baited him, where they ran cover 2 and he got picked off in the first interception. Like that. Other than that, I mean, because you're just not playing up to the potential that you can have here. You know, this place has been garnished as DBU. We're not DBU. Right now, you're not DBU. You don't have a guy right now that had, well, let me back up. Because I don't want to throw Deshaun Spears out of that equation. There's a strong likelihood that you might not have a top 2 round guy in the NFL in either one of those rooms. Now, is that a product of of Jake Olsen or Corey Raymond? No. Have you seen vast improvement outside of newcomers that have been here? No, you haven't. So they're going to have to figure out how, number one, to not get lost in man-to-man coverage, how not, as Brian Kelly alluded to earlier in the day, or earlier today in his press conference, how not to get lost in eye candy or motions and being where you need to be. Guys, there are a lot of times we're not where we need to be on film. A lot of times. If guys can't pick it up, man, you gotta make changes. You have to make changes if guys mess up. How many times have we looked at guys like Kyron Lacey, Jaden Daniels, Garrett Dellinger, any guy on the interior of the offense or defensive line, and we've said to ourselves, hey, man, that's a really bad play. They need to be pulled, or we need to go get somebody that can fix it. Why aren't we doing that for safety play? Now, you're playing a lot of guys, but you can't just throw one guy out there in one series and expect him to be a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala getting laid tonight. It's not how this works. Deshaun Spears needs reps. So it is what it is. Guys, you got to limit. I want them to focus in and lock in on eliminated explosive plays. Think about this. LSU is 53rd in the country in scoring defense. Now, I tell you all the time, and something that me and my good buddy Carter Bryant disagree on. He goes, you know, he talked about, I think it was UCLA. Well, man, they moved the ball on you. That means nothing if they can't score. The simple fact that LSU goes from 119th in the country in scoring defense to 53rd through the first quarter of the season is quite simply amazing. But here's the thing, though. You've given up 13 touchdowns on the season. 8 of them have been on the ground. Of the 8 touchdowns that you have given up on the ground, 6 of them have come from plays 20 yards or greater. You know, Lenore Sellers had 2 or had 1. Actually, Lenore Sellers, technically, I'm going to give him 2 because he broke 2 tackles and got in the end zone. I'm going to call that an quote-unquote explosive play. He had a 75-yard TD run. Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, busted one to the outside and went for 66. Woody Marks had some explosive runs on you. So what does that mean? Guys, if you eliminate some of those explosive plays, what are your perceptions of the defense? Because you're 53rd in scoring defense at the current moment, and I humbly ask, if those plays are eliminated, especially from the running game, are you in a different place, in a different situation? How do you eliminate explosive plays? I know that Brian Kelly said that they went full patch today, and I'm sure they're hitting and they're really getting after it. I hope that this week defensively is all about assignments. All about assignments. Assignment and alignment. You don't like the coach speak. You don't like when people like myself come out here and talk about coach speak, but it's true. You can be in full pads and go through assignment and alignment and what you need to do. Guys, I will tell you the truth. I would go through 2 hours of walkthrough, and if a guy's not paying attention, kick him out and make him run. You know, I've seen and heard stories of Saban when a guy wasn't paying attention. We've seen it on his documentaries. Guy not paying attention to practice, they start running. New guy comes in. He doesn't care. Well, he really doesn't care because he's got the depth that he could just roll another 5-star out there. But you get my point. Guys, eliminating explosive plays, your defense would be so much better than what it is. Turnover margin. Turnovers. I hope that there's a high intensity about scoring when you generate turnovers. Guys, you're in the top half of the country in turnovers. Did you know that? You're top. You know, I think of 22 when you won the SEC West. Think about all the great turnovers that you had from the secondary. Like Jay Ward had multiple picks. He won you the game against Mississippi State. He had one. I think, was it Arkansas that he had one too? So many times that he came away with great plays. Joe Fouché, the one-handed grab against Ole Miss. You know what you've done under Brian Kelly and what most teams do? You got to capitalize on them. I hope that there's an intensity of when you get the ball back, going and scoring. I'm going to let you in on a little something. I have heard from people that there has been an acknowledgement on the turnover discussion and going out there and really getting after it. Here's what I'd also say. This defense with Blake Baker wants to be very havoc or generate massive amounts of havoc. I think that they're going to try to scheme some things up to get Braden Swinson moving next week that Ole Miss can't get past him. Guys, Ole Miss offensive line might be in trouble. We'll see him go up against a really good defensive line this week in South Carolina. Don't be surprised if you see some really different wrinkles against Ole Miss in a couple of weeks. They got 2 weeks to prepare for it. Remember that you boys said this on Tuesday in the bye week. Last thing. Guys, I'm starting to question if we have any dogs on this team. Now, you would say, well, Blake, what do you mean? I think you got highly talented players. Campbell, Jones, Nussmeier, Durham. You have really good players. I don't know if you have the toughness that it's going to take to get you where you need to go. Here's a hot take for you that I think is generated around college football. Now, here comes my soapbox, but I think it is playing itself out on the field. Guys, in the new era since 2020, in the NIL era, we have seen a constant decline of toughness. I am all for players getting paid. I am all for players doing what they need to do to generate enough wealth that they can take care of their families. The problem that has occurred, even in your own program, in that is that guys are not built the same. I don't want to hear that the generation below us is different. Human beings can be human beings. And when you put them in tough situations, how do they, in adversity, how they respond from it? I think the biggest thing that, and I don't know if you can change it midseason. Maybe you can. Brian Kelly would say that his team's tough. Well, no, let me tell you, man, I've been around a lot of football. You wouldn't throw your team in a bye week out there in full pads if you thought that they were tough. You wouldn't. I'm not telling you to go out there and be the Junction Boys with Bear Bryant and you're running in the Texas heat and sand and dirt and guys are breaking arms. And I'm not telling you to be the Junction Boys. But I don't know who the leaders on this team is. You know, I hear people say, well, it's Garrett Nussmeier and it's Will. You know, I hear the media trying to force who they think that the leader is. Guys, that's not reality. And it also confirms to me again, too, that you don't talk to anybody up there. Who is going to be the guy that steps up and gets in people's face and saying, you're doing it wrong, we got to do it right? Because coaches are not getting to players in some instances, and it's a lack of mental toughness. Guys, some of these guys that are still on your team have had multiple coaches. They've had multiple head coaches. They've had different coordinators. They've had different position coaches. They've had different strength staffs. They've had different player personnel. They've had different nutritionists. everything has been changed over. The only common denominator is if you're going to look in the mirror at yourself and stop pussyfooting around and start making something of yourself and making sure that you're ready to go. I don't know if you have a lot of those guys on your team, and the guys that you do have on your team, I don't know if they're vocal enough. Like Jade, that was the biggest complaint that I had about Jaden to some extent, is there were times that I wish that he would go in that locker room and tell people to stop. You know that meme that or that video of people coming in here saying, it smells like bitch in here. Where's that guy? I don't think that you have many, if you have one at all, because we're so worried about, well, if you do this with this guy, that they will transfer. Fuck it. Because I can't emphasize that. Fuck it. Sorry. Don't repeat me. Ben, why do you come in here when I say the one only bad word? Don't repeat that word, okay? Ever. I say one curse word in the last 3 episodes, and that's what happens. But I don't know how you feel, but that's how it's not only how I feel, it's what I know. It's when I pick up this phone that's charged in right now because it died. Okay. It's what I know. Guys, listen, I promise on everything that I love. Maybe I shouldn't even put it like that. I would bet everything that I had that there are people on that staff that feel the same way. Position coaches included. And they don't know how to get it. And listen, it's not only on your team either. It's not only on your team. Guys, I know of multiple guys that I played with, that I'm good friends with. Like in 2 weeks, I have one of the guys it's in the SEC has a bye week, and we're going to grab lunch together. I know the same complaints that he gives me. It's the same thing that we're talking about LSU. It's the same thing that I just mentioned. It's the same complaint. And they're wondering about how they can get through to guys. Cut their ass. Take their money away, see what happens. Oh, they're going to hit in the portal. Get them in the portal. They can't go in the portal right now. Well, guys are quitting midseason. That guy's still going to blow an assignment this week, is going to blow an assignment next week, is going to blow an assignment after that, and it's going to lose you football games. What does it matter? Well, you might make a play here and there that could save us. Might. The only thing that I worry about with the word might in it is if I might get lucky tonight with my wife. That's all I care about. All right. Yeah, Cole, I shouldn't have said it. Jonathan, I shouldn't have said it. I just shouldn't have said it. But I get so aggravated. No, I don't know if you have dogs. And that's just the truth. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Peace.